Hi, biology. I'm going to be going over the lab today. How can you determine the size of an animal population? And I think that's assignment number 37. So just to start off with, what I did was I pulled out 20 beans, and you should also be starting a Google Sheet or something because you need to copy this data table down. You can also handwrite it and take a picture of it later. But you're going to remove 20 beans. I have mung beans. I gave you guys all my big beans, so these ones are actually really small. But I removed 20 beans, and I colored the beans, or I marked them with a black Sharpie. So before I put them all back, I'm going to make sure that I can really see those black marks, because some of them, they don't go all the way around. So you may want to like color or put a dot all the way around just to make sure that you can see it. A little tedious with these little beans. You guys have bigger ones, so hopefully it'll be easier. One tip, put a paper underneath it so that when the pen bleeds, you won't get it on your desk or wherever you are. Okay? All right, so I counted 20. Now I'm going to, so these represent like the animals, like the fish or whatever other animals we caught and tagged or marked in some way. All right, and then I'm going to return the beans to the bag after the ink dries in a minute and shake it, and I'm going to take out 30 more beans. All right, so I've pulled out 30. One's trying to get away here. I pulled out 30 beans, and you have to look them over because sometimes the marking disappears or likes to hide, but this one is marked. You can kind of see. Doesn't want to stay on the side that I colored, but there it is. You can see that it's marked. These I looked through and turned over, and all of these are unmarked. Okay, so I just made a data table on a piece of paper. So let me zoom out just a little bit. So for the first trial, we pulled out 30. I'm always going to be pulling out 30. I counted the ones with marks. That's what these initials mean in your instructions, is 1. So caught with marks is 1. Caught without marks is 29. Okay, and I would do that 5 more times, and then I'll show you how to do the calculations. All right, this is my last trial of the beans, and I've got some different results I'll show you, but the last sample happened to be the same as the first couple. So I have 1 marked bean, which it is kind of hard to see. Let me go in, see if you can see it, but it is right there. And I have 29 unmarked beans. Okay, so put that on my data table right here. So you can see the total caught each time. I pulled 30 each time. And then after I counted, I put the beans back in the bag, which is important. Don't forget to do that. So they're all back into the population together. So I noted what my numbers were that were caught with marks, and I noted what the numbers were that were caught without marks, right? And this total should equal 30, right? What you pulled out originally, okay? So starting some of the math that needs to go on the data table. The next thing you need to do on the data table, so that's, well, I guess this is a little different, but you need to get an average. So to do that, you need to total each of the 5 trials, right? So your total for the total caught would be 150. And to get an average, you divide this by 5, right? So the average is 30, which makes sense because they're all 30, okay? For the average for the number caught with marks, your numbers should look different than mine. They probably will. I add up all of these, got a total of 8. Yep, and just double checking, okay? Divided 8 by 5, got 1.6, but you can't really have, 0.6 of an animal. So I rounded that up because this is closest to the next whole number, which is 2, okay? So that's my average is 2 each time. Okay, for caught without marks, again, added that up. 142 is the total, divided it by 5. Got 28.4, but again, you can't have part of a whole organism. So I rounded that to the closest whole number, and that's 28, okay? All right, so we have our data. We did the averages, right? And again, your numbers are going to look different. You're going to use these averages in our formula, which is on the next page, okay? So this initial data, just put to the side. We're worrying about these averages and the number of mark that we started with, all right? So here's our formula, okay? It looks scarier than it is. I think my camera is a little off, but that's okay. All right, so to calculate or estimate a population size of the number of beans that are actually in the bag, we are going to take these numbers. M times, parentheses, CWM plus CW/OM divided by CWM. What the heck? That's kind of a scary formula, but I promise it's not that bad. Okay, here's what the numbers mean, or our variables mean, our letters mean. So M is just the number that we initially marked that you colored with your pen, okay? CWM is just an abbreviation for the ones that you caught with marks. So again, this is your averages, right? So in our data table, we'll go over what that is in a second. CW/OM is caught without marks. So it's just kind of a messy abbreviation for these words. Okay, so don't let that scare you. You're just going to plug them into the formula. And remember your order of operations and all of that from math. Okay, so, whoops. So here's what the numbers based on my data are. This number everyone's going to have, we initially marked 20 beans, right? And then we put them back into the bag. So everyone should fill in that. These two numbers are going to be different based on your data. You might have more success, and I hope you do, at capturing marked beans. I think mine were so small it made it difficult. Okay, so caught with marks. I only averaged 2 caught with marks. And then I averaged 28 caught without marks. All right, so that's what those numbers mean. You pull it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to be plugging these numbers into this formula. All right, so 20 times caught with marks is 2, plus caught without marks is 28, right? And then I'm going to divide by the caught with marks. So that's 2 again. All right. And this is going to get me to my population estimate. So order of operations, you do what's in the parentheses first, right? So 20 times 30, and then divide that by 2, all right? And then you should get an estimated population, and you're going to record that data in the questions, all right? And so right here, actually, calculated population size. The next question, you're going to need to record on your Google Doc or on your handwritten paper that you're going to take a picture of and upload for me. You know, you're going to actually count all the beans in the bag, right? And see how off you were or not. And as you go on in science, you'll be able to calculate errors and stuff like that. We'll do that in chemistry, but we'll just stick with this for now, okay? So, so you're going to answer the questions and then compare the calculated to the actual population size, make some inferences, and what would you be doing? Like for fish, some things that they do is they either tag them with a little electronic tag, it's really, really small, or they clip their fins, or they do both. Other animals get collars, birds get a tag that's attached on them. A lot of different things you could do, okay? So I hope this is helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.